I got a question that's going to take a little time to answer, so I want to hit something real fast. If you were watching the show last week, folks, we talked about whether or not whether or not an individual or a husband and wife should go see a bankruptcy attorney before divorce or after divorce. And I got a follow-up on that from an attorney who does family law. I don't do family law. My firm does not do family law. I don't particularly aspire to be a family lawyer. A lot of good ones out there. You don't need me for that aspect. But they did write me a question saying, how do you go about getting people in a room together when they don't like each other? You don't. You don't. Sometimes it may be good for, what I would suggest is you tell your client, the husband or the wife, go see a bankruptcy attorney and come back to me. There have been times where we couldn't get the two people in the room, but what we did is I called the other attorney, the other bankruptcy attorney. In other words, I don't want to see both the husband and the wife. If they don't like each other, I don't want them in my office together. And if they don't like each other, I want to see one or I want to see the other. I don't want to see them both. Not even a chance. So what I advise the attorney to do is send me their client. I'll sit with them and talk to them. And then ask the other attorney if his client, meaning the husband, will go to a bankruptcy attorney. And then what I'd like to do is, if the parties are willing for it, then I want to meet with the other attorney and see whether a joint filing would be good or whether they should file separately or individual bankruptcy cases. The reason why is, again, bankruptcy is kind of like a chess match where my goal is to not only win, checkmate, but to get my pieces to the other side, if you will, with as little resistance as possible to my clients. So in other words, when I'm strategizing my case, if there's something I can do with that other attorney whereby we can work together to get these cases resolved and it's in the best interest of our clients, then by all means, let's employ that strategy. If it turns out that we have nothing in common, well, what did I lose by doing this? Nothing. I'm going to do it anyway for my client, and then the other attorney can deal with his client individually and deal with their problems. So I mean, getting together and working, that's the best way to do it. But if the parties are just like, they're so bad, there's nothing together, well then we're not going to see them together. So hopefully that answers a lot of people's questions about conflict of interest, as well as whether or not it's better to file bankruptcy together or separate, and whether or not you should go to a bankruptcy attorney first or after the divorce is over. So there's a lot of ins and outs there, but hopefully that piggybacks on the last one from last week's call, and it makes a lot more sense. And if I clarify that any better, fantastic.